Hey there, thanks for watching. I'm Christiana and this channel is Well-Behaved Wallet. My mission is to love the life I have while building the life of my dreams. And I do that by living below my means, by being crystal clear about my financial goals and taking steps each and every single day to meet those goals, and by spending my time and my money in the absolute best ways that align with my goals and convictions. So these are tough times. And if you're like one of the 3.4 million other Americans who have applied for unemployment, then you may be dealing with loss of significant income during this time. So if you are in that position and you're dealing with a loss in income, you might be wondering, how do you even start financial independence? And if you're on your journey, how do you keep going? So that's why I'm coming at you today with 5 tips on how you can start or accelerate your journey to financial independence that don't involve money. So none of these suggestions that I'm going to give you today involve anything to do with money. Let me say at the outset that I am not an expert in anything except my own opinion. All I know is what I read, what I experience myself, and then what I learned from talking to other people and their experiences. I know that my relationship to money now is much better than it was 10 years ago, and my goal is to keep growing and learning from other people's mistakes, so I don't necessarily have to make those mistakes myself. So saying that at the outset, I am just coming to you with things that I've learned along the way and things that have helped me. So I'll also say that I am not an expert in FIRE. I am relatively new to this journey, and if you're looking for people who are experts in FIRE, then I will leave a list of their channels down below, because there are some amazing people out there who have achieved this and who are also sharing their experience on YouTube. So again, all I can do is share my experience, what I see, what I read, things like that. Okay, so let me get into tip number 1, and that is to dream. So my first tip is to take some time and to dream. This is a perfect moment to kind of say to yourself, no more. Like, draw a line in the sand, start your new life today, and dream about what you want your life to be going forward. The old is past. We're never going to be back there. We are in a new spot right now, so this is a perfect time to give yourself permission to realize what really makes you happy. So in the book Playing with Fire, which ironically is the last book that I took out from the library before this whole thing started, Scott Rickens talks about an experience that he had in trying to convince his wife to get on board with the whole FIRE movement. And what he asked her to do was to make a list of 10 things that she enjoyed doing the most in the course of a week. And I actually have that right here, and I will tell you some of the things that ended up on her list, and then he had the same list as well. And at the end of the day, they compared their lists and saw what really brought them the most happiness. And spoiler alert, it wasn't those big fancy dinners. It was spending time with family. So that's number 1, is things like having coffee with my husband, and this is Taylor's list. Having coffee with her husband, cuddling with her baby, going for walks, going for bike rides, enjoying a glass of wine, good chocolate, talking with friends and family, having family dinners, and reading to her baby. So these are things that don't cost money. And if you take the time to really dream about what really makes you the most happy, chances are maybe some of those things cost money, but the majority of them won't. It's about spending time with the people that you care about the most, doing things that mean the most to you. And if you let yourself dream about those things, it'll help you reaffirm why financial independence is so important, because it allows you to focus on the things that you really want to be doing, as opposed to the things you feel like you just have to because they're keeping you afloat. So B, it'll also give you clarity on why you're moving forward. So number 1 is to dream. So get out your notebook and your pen and start making a list of the 10 things that bring you the most happiness. So number 2 is to define. So go ahead and actually write those things down and say to yourself, what would it actually look like? Like, start putting contours to that dream, right? Like, say those 10 things that make you the most happy, what would it be like if you did them more often? Like, maybe not having to work so hard or be chained to a job would give you more freedom to spend time with the people and the places that actually bring you the most happiness. Step number 3 is to plan. Now, this is where you take out your calculator. Now, no money involved, remember, none of these things involve actual money, but they do involve putting numbers to that dream that you've defined, right? So take out your calculator and figure out what it would actually cost. Like, let's say that job doesn't bring you happiness, spending more time with your family brings you happiness. Maybe having control over your time brings you more happiness. What would it cost you to actually get control over that time? What would you have to give up? What type of a lifestyle would you have to be stepping into? That's kind of something that requires a little bit more soul searching than you can do when you're stuck in the like grind of having to be in your 9 to 5 day to day. So if your 9 to 5 situation has changed, or your 8 to 7 situation has changed and you suddenly have a lot more time on your hands, start thinking about what you might like your life to be like. If you need extra qualifications, if you need some more education, if you need a different skill set, what would it cost to obtain that skill set? How would you obtain that skill set? Start actually putting those details down on paper. Like, take out your pencil again and your calculator and say, what skills do I need? How do I get those skills? Who has those skills? Who might I be able to learn from? Who could I pattern myself after? These are questions that I'm actually in the process of asking myself right now. So that's how I know that this exercise takes a little bit of time, and it takes a little bit of thought, because it asks you to question things that you may have just accepted in your life. Like, I know that I just accepted that I would have to go to an office. So what would it be like for me to change that? That's what I'm looking into, and that's where I'm really spending my time at the moment. More to come. So step number 4 is to examine. And this is where you take a magnifying glass to your current life and you look for ways that you can either save money or make money. Now, what this looks like for me and how this manifests in my life is that I am going into the corners of my house literally and looking for things that I can either sell or refurbish, or really just sell and refurbish, because I have this eBay business that I've been running on the side. I've been running it as a hobby lately, and I think last year I made just under $3,000 net. So it wasn't a tremendous amount, and that is before expenses, things like storage, etc., office space, things like that. So I know for me, this involves kind of taking a look at how I can earn some extra money in that ways, things I might be able to barter for, or ways that I can bring in extra income. And then how can you cut back? So I know for me, and if you've watched any of my budget videos, you know that some of my biggest areas are in the area of grocery and food spending, and in the areas of personal care. So what that looks like for me right now is that I'm taking really good care of the things that I have right now. That's my personal care, is to take care of what I already have. And I'm figuring out ways to really live on less and to make industrious frugality a part of my everyday life. So once I shifted my mindset from acquiring things to taking care of things and seeing how little I can get by on, it kind of becomes more like a game. But again, it's a really big mindset shift, which is why I'm listing that here, because shifting your mindset doesn't cost any money. I am convinced that your financial situation is a result of A, your mindsets, and B, the individual steps that you've taken along the way. It's a result of the actions that you do day in and day out. So I'm determined to make those day in and day out actions work for me in my journey to financial independence. Step number 5 is to take action and actually begin to do some of those things that will move you along to the next stage in your journey, closer to where you want to be. I also call this building bridges as opposed to burning bridges, right? Rather than burning a bridge, which you might want to do if you don't love your past life so much, you also want to build a bridge to where you actually want to be in your life. So in my case, that involves getting those new qualifications, that involves learning those new skills, that involves getting to that next level career-wise in terms of earning income. So that might also mean things like building new relationships, taking a chance, maybe going to a new meetup group, and learning new skills. So how this also manifests in my life, I'll give you an example of how it happened in the past, how I've been able to do this successfully, and how I'm doing this right now and really enjoying the process. So when I first started my channel back in 2015, I knew that I was heading toward this area of financial prosperity, abundance, independence, and wealth building. I knew that I also wanted to learn more about real estate. So how do you do that? In my sort of world, what I thought would be good and fun, and I'd heard about, actually Dave Ramsey talks about a lot, is a local real estate meetup. So I thought, okay, let me try to find a local real estate meetup. So I did just that. And back in 2015, I remember it was February, it was on a Wednesday, because that club still meets on Wednesday, every Wednesday of the month, every third Wednesday of the month. And I went to that meeting, and I tell you, I was terrified about going to that meeting. I was really kind of like nervous. I didn't know anyone. I was going to be going by myself. This is a completely new world. But I kind of thought of myself as this like explorer in this brave new world, because I knew that where I wanted to be ultimately, financial independence, prosperity, abundance, I knew that that was a step in the road. So I went even though I was scared, and I had a fantastic time. I met some really cool incredible people, some of whom I'm still in touch today. And I can also say that that club has been a really, really fabulous investment going forward. I actually just met someone recently last year who was kind of able to introduce me to this new world of investing. And they're actually doing online meetups currently, so on Zoom. And he's having really interesting and learned, experienced investors come in and give some tips. So it's a really, really exciting situation to be in, and I'm super glad that I took that step and I took that action and I built that bridge into this new life. So that's number 5, is to actually take action, however that is, however that looks for you. And you can take action in ways that don't require money. So these are my 5 tips for you on how to start or accelerate your journey to financial independence that don't require any money. I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I'd love to know which of these you've implemented or seen really good success in. So thank you as always for watching, and I hope you'll keep watching. Thanks. Bye.